solutions for every industry. Plus, save big pickup and next day delivery on most orders. Or we can help you stay on top of the game. Not sure exactly what you need. Huddle up with Rangers and product specialists. They'll tackle your toughest questions to help you build your team forward. Call clickRanger.com or just stop by.
The coaching Vinny's on and all this stuff. She's running like it's college, attempt to get on the radio and have fun on it. Can't happen, man. College radio. What we're doing is really rare, man. It really is. And I feel like if I tell everybody how great we are, they just freaking blow their eyes. Cool.
Our silver and black game day coverage
3.5.
Right here on Raider Nation 9:20 a.m. Your station for everything Raiders. NASCAR is on the air from Michigan as it's the Firekeepers Casino 400 from the Michigan International Speedway. Listen in Sunday starting at 10:30 on 12:30 The Game. Injured in a crash? Call Sam and Ash at 702-303-0333.
Attention plumbers, HVAC, DIYers, and construction pros. McFadden Industrial Hardware has everything you need for your next project. Open early in South Decatur and Russell. McFadden Industrial Hardware, your one-stop shop to get the job done. McFadden Industrial Hardware. Get in, get out, and get to work.
Portisub's fan favorite, ham, salami, and provolone subs are priced to delight for a limited time. The small subs are $6, medium subs $8, and large subs are just $10. Now that's a deal you can sink your teeth into. Visit Portisubs today or order at portisubs.com or on our app.
Remy Martin is the official cognac of the JT the Brick Show. When you're celebrating any of your team's victories, celebrate with Remy Martin Cognac, XO, VSOP, and 1738. Remy Martin, team up for excellence.
Treasure Island is the best food and entertainment value on the Las Vegas Strip. Treasure Island offers a variety of dining options, including their newest restaurant, the Las Vegas Yacht Club. Enjoy market fresh catches and delectable seafood options. If you're looking for something more casual, check out the Golden Circle Sports Bar. This bar has a full sports book and is the perfect place to pregame, watch the game, and party after the game. With a great bar menu and 20 high-definition plasmas, you won't miss a moment of the action. Visit Treasure Island, where parking is always free.
Mark Patrick Seminars is coming to Las Vegas Sunday, September 8th for one day only. Here we talk about how hypnosis works to help people lose weight or stop smoking.
We all have an image of ourselves, and that image, if we have an image of a non-smoker, we attract non-smoker behaviors and beliefs. If we have an image of a smoker, we attract the habits of a smoker. If we have an image of a person who is overweight, we live up to the
Radio show. Let's do a radio show. What do you say? What are we doing? Let's go. Let's go. I got a headset here, which is good. Get the bottom. Yes. Big night tonight. Raiders indoor practice. I'll be emceeing it. There's going to be 35,000 to 40,000 people there, man. That's pretty big.
Indeed can help them hire great people fast. Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer.
We don't need a big TV studio with a teleprompter and producers writing my show. This is how you do radio, man. Throw on a T-shirt. You go to YouTube. You talk to the viewers and listeners who make the show, and you go for it. That's what you do. Again, no teleprompter. We got Devontae. We got some Devontae sound. Let's get some Devontae going in the first segment. Yeah, let's get some Devontae going. Birth of his son, missing camp, playing during the preseason. Brock and the quarterback. That'll get us through. Should be that one we're done.
You're listening to the JT the Brick Show, where the Raider Nation has come to sound off and react for over 20 years.
It's time for JT the Brick.
Raiders defense is no joke. The offensive line is good. The Raider defensive line is better. We all agree on that, right? Max Crosby and Christian Wilkins, those guys are train wreckers.
There's definitely a little tinkering going on. We'll see, what sticks, and we'll put, the best version of our defense out there, at the beginning of the season, and hopefully it keeps improving.
But our freaking D-line is nasty. The D-line of the Raiders is nasty the way it used to be.
JT the Brick.
But this guy, Antonio Pierce, is going into L.A. like Russell Crowe in Gladiator going into Rome. Okay? This guy, Antonio Pierce, is going to be like the movie Gladiator, leading everyone into Los Angeles. And he ain't joking.
And now,
Don't worry about our quarterback. Worry about yours.
here's JT the Brick.
Out of the gate, JT on a beautiful day here in Vegas. No more 115, no more 110, please. We're getting into 103s, 106s. Let's get below 100 and let's get through the hottest summer in Las Vegas history. Remember, when it's this hot and it's this hot, it doesn't rain much. You get a little sprinkling. They claim there's some monsoons coming. Not on my side of town. If you go into deep Henderson, you might get some wind and a monsoon. We don't get much weather, Bobby, out in Summerlin or over here, man. But this was a hot summer. Tried to get away for some of it. Costa Mesa was beautiful. And now hopefully we'll get down below 100, and there's going to be a couple of hot days still left. And we got a hot night tonight over at Allegiant Stadium. I'll be on the field with the microphone in front of, I don't know what the number is. There's a lot of fake numbers running out there now in politics. How many showed up at your rally? Oh, no, how much showed up at yours? Oh, my God, how many showed up at your rally? I promise you the Raiders will have a bigger attended event tonight than any political rally recently. We're going to have 35 to 40,000 fans. I hope you're all going, and get there early, sit wherever you want, go have a good time, and we'll be on the field there with some interviews, the coaches, the players. I'm supposed to be interviewing Mad Max, Marvin Lewis, some of the players. It's kind of getting worked out now. They're doing an unbelievable job with the events team there. There's going to be great music, entertainment. There'll be food and beverages served. And you'll have a great time. This is an event, if you can go to, get there. I believe, and I'm going to be careful on this, Bobby, but I believe it is the largest Raiders practice of all time. Unless I'm missing one in L.A. Did I miss something? Did the Coliseum have an open practice with 50,000 people? They might have. I've hosted Raider rallies in Oakland that had 15,000 people, but it wasn't a practice per se. This is going to be big tonight. And the players are going to go out there and practice because they need to practice. And let's see what we get out of that, and that'll be in advance of the Dallas Cowboy game. Coming into this weekend where Dallas is in the news every second of every day because C.D. Lamb's holding out. With C.D. Lamb holding out and Dak Prescott looking for more money. Isn't it great? A lot of these guys who are just pretty good, Dak's really good. Dak would be a great Raider quarterback. He would be a great Raider quarterback, Dak Prescott, but hold your horses. We got two pretty good ones here. Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew, and they're competing for the starting job. And we should know about that. According to Antonio Pierce, after the game, he might want to go home and have a beverage and hang out with his family and not make the announcement until Sunday or Monday. That's not where my pay grade is, but he's going to announce the quarterback before the Niner game. And then we're going to have that to talk about. And that'll be big because that'll be the focus of our show the rest of the way. And I truly believe that Raider Nation's going to get behind this quarterback pick. I'm hoping they do. I really believe that Raider fans who knew that Jim Plunkett was a third, fourth string quarterback when Al Davis brought him over here to rest, or when Rich Gannon was brought in as a journeyman who was playing better, but he was a journeyman. That's a compliment. He was a journeyman. And then he came here and became an MVP. I'm not saying Gardner or Aiden are going to be an MVP eventually. I don't know. But I know that Raider Nation can get behind one of these two. You get behind both of them, because they're probably going to both play this year. But it's very important that we start off the year in the Raider Nation with some sincere positivity for the quarterback. I mean, that's what being a fan's all about. You didn't like the former coach. I knew that. You knew that. I had to go to work every day, be respectful to a guy who was respectful to me. All the coaches from Lane Kiffin to Norv Turner to Jack Del Rio, all the ones that I've worked with in the past, I've always had a great relationship because it's business. But now we have Antonio Pierce, and he's going to pick a quarterback. And I hope you get behind the coach's decision. The last thing we need in the Raider Nation, criticism's fair. Criticism's more than fair. But before Aiden O'Connell or Gardner Minshew start week 1 at the Chargers, you would think, like I always say, Raider Nation unite. You would believe, wouldn't you, that the Raider Nation will be united with this decision? Or am I crazy? Now, I'm not saying you're going to be united after the Baltimore game or going into another game during the season. I don't know what you're going to do. But I would hope that you would be united as a fan base going into week 1 in what feels like a playoff game. It really does. I'm putting a lot into this first game because the Charger fans are coming after me hard. The Wolves are at the door. There's not many Charger fans. I don't need you just yet. Me and a black hole chapter of LA and Vegas can hold off these Charger fans. Just 2 chapters of the 40 of the black hole can hold off these fans. But they're coming after me if we don't win that game. I can tell you that. They're coming after me hard. I'm going to be a meme for those fans if we don't win that game. So I'm going all in. Why not? It's radio. Who cares? You know, when I started in radio, Bobby, everybody cared. How am I going to get to the top? How am I going to get on the top 20 list of midday shows? Like that ever mattered ever. How am I going to get in the top 3 of the syndicated shows, right? We did pretty good over this long run here. Now nobody cares. Nobody cares about anything now. People are in their phones. They have to put food on the table, groceries, gas in the car, and people don't care. We care about Raider games winning, win or lose. We want to win them all. That's what we care about. And we judge by how many games the Raiders win. And we're going to be judged. I'm going to be judged by how good of a radio show that I produce, win or lose. And I'm proud of that. We do the same show. Talked to Chris Matthews today from 8 News Now. He's locked in every other Friday. The other guy on Fridays, Vic Tafer. Today we have Jason Horowitz, voice of the Raiders, coming up in 10 minutes. How about this for a first hour? Jason Horowitz, voice of the Raiders, Vinny Bonsignore, bottom of the hour, and the longest tenured Raider insider, Bill Williamson, at 12:45. That's the way I want this show to sound every week.
What's your name?
And hopefully with their winning, fans will be excited. Usually program directors will tell you, not the one here, because Q wants to win, because Q's embedded with this flagship station. Program directors in sports usually like when the team loses because more people listen, because they're miserable and they're upset, and they call in and they listen closer. I don't look at it that way. I want to go undefeated. I want to win all the games. I want to get out there and do it. So the fan base, I believe, is united. They'll be united around. I mean, how could you not be united around this quarterback decision? What's going to be the decision? Aiden O'Connell? Okay. You can't get behind Aiden? Young kid in the league, married guy, really good faith-based guy, good guy. Everybody likes him. How can you not get behind him? And if it's Minshew mania and Gardner Minshew gets it, you know, everybody's going to want Gardner to get off to a really good start so the team can build momentum. So I'm not worried about that, but that's the topic we've been waiting on. And we've been waiting on for a long time since Gardner Minshew was signed by Tom Telesco, because that quarterback market was drying up pretty quickly. So it was drying up pretty quickly, the quarterback market. And Tom was like, let's get our guy. Let's get our guy, because everybody else is going somewhere else. J.J. McCarthy is out for the season with a torn meniscus. And that hurts. He's a good kid. I called his first interception, Jack Jones. Jack Jones intercepted him. I never thought that that'd be the last. He had a good game. I thought J.J. McCarthy played really well in that game. But he was going up against the Raiders 2s and 3s when the starters came out of the game. There's no Christian Wilkins and Max Crosby. But J.J. McCarthy has a bright future in front of him. It's really sad that after winning a national championship for Michigan, and a guy that I thought would start this year, because seeing him with my own eyes last weekend in Minneapolis, he was really good, but Jack Jones got him. J.J. McCarthy in the shotgun, wide receivers to the left. McCarthy's got time, setting up, looking, the pressure's coming, throws it out to the left, intercepted, Jack Jones. Jack Jones comes across. That's an interception by number 18. The way he played in Costa Mesa, he's playing here in downtown Minneapolis. Yeah, that's EA with the diabolical laugh in the background. We called the J.J. McCarthy interception, and he will not play the rest of the year. Unfortunate. Good player. And he would have played. And now Sam Darnold doesn't have to look over his shoulder anymore. Sam Darnold might have played the first 2 games of the year, and then they give it to J.J. McCarthy. Right. Why not? Now Sam Darnold is in a really good position. He doesn't want anybody to be hurt. but he's going to start. They don't have anything behind J.J. McCarthy that can unseat Sam Darnold here. So that's it. That's how it looks for him. Really unfortunate. The Hassan Reddick situation is getting dicey with the Jets. There is a standoff here, and then every day when I wake up, we look for new news on Brandon Ayuk, and it looks like they're trying to get a deal done. The 49ers came back. The 49ers came back to the table, and they want to do a deal, and they're probably getting closer on this. So I don't know how to tell you this on what's going to happen with Ayuk, but what I did say, and I believe this, if Ayuk does not play for the 49ers, if he does not play, I don't think the 49ers can win the Super Bowl. If Ayuk does play for the 49ers, I think they're the favorite to win the Super Bowl. I really do. I think they have the best roster top to bottom right now. So that's where we stand as we open it up. According to Frank Schwab, senior writer over at Yahoo, the Ayuk deal to the Steelers reportedly awaits a decision from the Niners, but then the Niners came back with a better offer, and now the Niners are in the hunt to try to do this deal. I'm going to stand by Ian Rappaport, Adam Schefter, and they're reporting as I'm refreshing my phone here to see if there's anything new, and that's what's going to happen here. So we're going to wait and see what happens to the 49ers. We want to talk about that on the show because he's a hell of a player, and he's a top 10 receiver in the league, and to get into that category, you got to be pretty good. So that's where we stand. The top headlines from Ian Rappaport today. The Niners have a deal with the Steelers for Brandon Ayuk, and that's just open for a tease. J.J. McCarthy gone for the year. Hard Knocks recap, and Tavon Austin retires. So it's summertime radio, man. We're just kind of cruising through the summer. Don't want to see anybody get hurt. Was out at practice last night. Man, that was gorgeous. So last night I emceed a chalk talk with Roland Williams over at Allegiant Stadium. Then it was done. I took the suit off. I ran over to practice, watched about 40 minutes of practice. The sun was setting over in Henderson. God, it was gorgeous. Oh, my God. Give me more of that. Give me more sunset practices. I don't know if the coach loves it, players at their body clock and all that, but, man, it was gorgeous out there last night. Prepping for the show today, and then I'm out of here to go to the practice tonight where I'll be on the field, hopefully corresponding with you. They might even have one of those T-shirt guns. You know, Bobby, you know me. I've always said this as a grown-ass man. As a man, you can never ever attempt to grab a T-shirt. That is the lowest form of being a man.
Yep. Oh,
if there are children and women, you cannot put your hand up as a 38-year-old guy with a beard and bump into a kid and grab his T-shirt. Okay, but I support T-shirt guns. Okay, because they shoot T-shirts into the crowd. But how many times have you seen grown-ass men go like this if you're watching me waving? Guys in their 40s with beer guts going, shoot the shirt here, please. And there's like an 11-year-old girl and a 9-year-old boy, and they got a beer in their hand, and they're reaching over a row to get a T-shirt. Come on, man. Come on, guys. Let the kids have the T-shirts, man. Let the kids have the T-shirts. There's some things that I will never, ever, ever do. You know, I've never booed my team in any sport. I've never cupped my hands and went, boo. Now, I've thrown beer at cups down angry off an interception or a home run, walk-off home run by the other team. I've cursed, but I've never booed my team. I think that's terrible. Oh, I'm a fan. I paid for tickets. I can do whatever I want. Good, you do that. I support the teams that I support. I don't boo them. And I don't reach for T-shirts. I don't reach for T-shirts at basketball or baseball games or football practices.
Hey, Jason,
so we'll see that. And, if you get a T-shirt, hand it to a kid. If you catch a T-shirt, I bet you Jason Horowitz agrees with me. Jason, when you're at a game with your kids, your daughter and son, and they're shooting the T-shirts, you would never get in the way and try to grab a T-shirt over a kid. Tonight at Allegiant Stadium, they're going to have a T-shirt gun. The kids should get the T-shirts, not a 40-year-old guy with a beer gun and a beer in his hand. Yes, that would help.
If you're only launching T-shirts that are medium or small, I mean, I guess that's not fair to the 11-year-olds who are figuring that you large. You get the point.
I get the point. You and I, me on radio, in for you, and you on television, called the J.J. McCarthy interception by Jack Jones, and now we find out he's gone for the year with the meniscus tear. Kind of sad. I liked him a lot. What was your analysis of him and his play for the Vikings?
first game for a quarterback preseason rookie is supposed to be rough. And I thought there were good moments and there were bad moments against our starters and then our second unit. But against our guys who aren't going to be on the roster, who are, the guys who are 50, 51, 52, he looked dominant, so I don't, however you want to take that, he still had to make great throws. He still had to have great touch. He showed great deep ball. He had some good accuracy on the sideline. So I get why Vikings fans and a lot of front office folks in the draft process were very excited about J.J. McCarthy. He's an accurate passer. Was a 72% guy in college last year, and then I got why Vikings fans are so excited to hopefully have their guy for 12 years. It stinks that, he's a 2-quarter and torn meniscus guy, and now out for the year. That does stink for them. I will say this, though, about Sam Darnold. We saw him last year fighting for a job with the Niners, and I know he hasn't really had as much success as people would think when you're going to be the 3rd overall pick in the draft 7 years ago. His first drive, though, until the last two passes was pretty good. So whatever you take away from one drive is just one drive, but I don't think the Vikings season is lost yet.
Jason Horowitz joins us. So what was your takeaway from the Raiders, the starters, when Max and Christian Wilkins was out there? Jack Jones had an interception. Zamir White had a touchdown. There was no Devontae there. A couple of big picture takeaways from the booth in Minneapolis.
Big picture takeaway is our starters. And then the combo of starters with second unit guys was very good. And the offense that has been such a complaint and understandably so a concern during the preseason put together 4 scoring drives in the first half. One of those was on a short field, but the other 3 weren't, right? Aiden put together, they started at the 5-yard line, and before the sack, he had driven inside the Vikings 5 on 13 plays or whatever that was. So I thought that was extremely impressive. I thought, special teams, there's a blocked field goal. There's awareness by a guy in Phelan Stanford, who's a former walk-on at Nebraska, to bring that back and set up a short field. I think it's a little bit disappointing, some of the letdowns they had on big plays in the first half. I know Antonio Pierce, when he talked to us at halftime on TV, was not happy about it. So I think that's certainly something that, especially because we've been heard how great the defense is going to be, and not to say that it wasn't or isn't going to be. But I think that's the one thing that would be a concern, big plays. But other than that, if you take the first 30 minutes of football, which is when you saw starters and backups, I think Raiders fans should be very excited about this team.
Yeah, I would agree with you. Jason Horowitz, voice of the Raiders. The decision coming up here, I was at practice last night, just like Costa Mesa. There's nothing really to get out of it unless you're deep diving into the film on footwork and pocket presence, which they're doing. This game seems to be pretty important. As Antonio Pierce told us, that he'll make a decision sometime after this game. How have you been watching this quarterback competition that isn't a controversy yet? Because some people and some fans and insiders are not going to like the decision.
Yeah, well, I think, there's some people who want Aiden O'Connell to be the backup because he's a 4th-round pick, and, they watched him go to a game against the Vikings where they couldn't score. They watched him play against the Chiefs where he didn't complete a pass after the first quarter. I understand that. There are some people who don't think Gardner Minshew is a starter in this league for long term. So I understand why both sides are going to feel one way or the other. But to me, JT, they aren't that different. And it's not just going to be about what happened in preseason game 1. It's not just going to be about preseason game 2. It's going to be what they've seen throughout all these practices against a really good defense and being our own. So I think all of that is very important. But from a mindset, from a mentality, from a continuity, and I've said this to you from, May on, I still think Aiden O'Connell has a great shot to be the guy because he hangs in the pocket. He does not have to be an improviser. I think from a personality standpoint, if you're looking for a spark, which is what a guy off the bench is supposed to be, Gardner Minshew kind of seems to have that. That kind of seems to be his personality traits too. So I do believe when it's all said and done, especially if it goes according to how we saw last week, that Aiden will be the starter. But that's not inside information. That's just a gut feeling.
Jason Horowitz is our guest. Yeah, and again, it's not a pushback from me. I don't know what's going to happen. The only thing I thought about months ago was if you were going to play Gardner early, you do it against the Harbaugh brothers, who are actually scheming together They are. I mean, that's not a secret. And you got a veteran who's played and made throws in bigger games than this one, which is an opening game, but it's pretty important to this franchise. And we've seen him win gritty, gutty games on the road throughout his career. And this is a tough test at the Chargers with Mack and Bosa, and then going up against the Ravens defense, which is always tough.
It is, but and I get that Carolina's not, they shouldn't be very good this year, and their defensive part, Brian Burns is now with the Giants.
Mm-hmm.
I get all that, but that's, if you make that decision, you're almost putting the caveat of I hope it doesn't go well, because if Gardner plays well, then you're not going to make a switch anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So I get that, but I also think that this team, whatever choice they're going to make, is going to be based off of whoever they pick. They think they can win a bunch of games with.
Yeah.
And there's nothing. Again, we saw one preseason game, and remember, my first year with this team, the team went undefeated in preseason 4-0, and then started the year 2-7. So preseason doesn't mean a lick of anything other than it looked good when you had your good on good playing the other day.
Jason Horowitz, as we wrap it up, it's a really interesting point. It's such a strong sports radio discussion with a global fan base, because if the starter, whoever it is, doesn't look good in the first two games or doesn't win one of the first two games, I think that player is going to get benched for the other guy. I just think it's pretty obvious that would happen coming into the home opener with one of the games on the schedule, one of the only games the Raiders will be favored. So I don't know. I don't know what to expect tonight at practice to see in this game, other than if Gardner gets the start, which I'm assuming he'll get against the Cowboys, and he comes out gangbusters and has the crowd behind him and goes, 60 yards and 4 for 4 and scores, it would help him. But as you said, the same thing could happen with Aiden in the second quarter in the 2-minute drill, and we're back to debating this.
JT, is that your sense, though? When you're going to walk around Allegiant tonight and you're going to walk around Saturday before the Cowboys and you're at the Torch, is your sense that the fan base wants Gardner to start? No, that's a great question. I really think I have my pulse on these fans, and I don't know. I've been talking about it all summer on the radio crickets. People, I know Raider fans will give them this. They will get behind the decision. They might not stay behind the decision in a month, but they're going to get behind this. And I'm hoping that happens, because these quarterbacks, I think, could win games. I think the defense has to win a few games. You called the game, A.J. Cole. I wanted to get this in before we wrap it up. A.J. Cole, when the Raiders with the third and fourth string quarterback didn't want to throw, which I thought was interesting at the end of the game. Why not just run a little screen and a little dump pass for 8 yards and end the game? Have Minnesota burn all their timeouts? They ran it into the pile. When I look at this team now, I'm just wondering what's going to happen in the preseason game, because I don't want to show a lot. Are they going to put these quarterbacks in a position to make plays in the first half by showing it, at least, Jason, a little bit of a wrinkle in this game plan? Yeah, maybe. I mean, again, you never want to say wins and losses don't matter, but we all know that preseason wins and losses don't matter. Fans certainly don't care about wins and losses in the preseason. So, I get all of that, and I think I think in a perfect world, the Raiders and Luke Getsy would have seen their third and fourth string offensive linemen be able to do anything, moving the pile on any running play in the second half, which they were not able to do. So I think that was probably frustrating for those guys. But those were players who are going to be practice squad, and we'll see what happens moving forward. But I think I think from an Agent Cole's perspective, and what's interesting there too is Antonio Pierce told us that. We were sitting in the meeting last week. We were talking about analytics. We were talking about new age football. We were talking about Dan Campbell and how many times he goes forward on fourth down, and he's like, I look over there and I've got this punter and he can do this, and he can do that. What was the punt last week where he boomed it angled out of bounds at the 4, and it was like a 55-yarder, no return or whatever it was. That is a massive difference and a massive change. And we've seen that before. We know how much of a weapon A.J. Cole is.
He's great.
And not that he needs the preseason work. No. But I'm sure they're going to get him a couple more kicks.
Definitely. Hey, before you go, give me one Matt Millen story in the booth. 4-time Super Bowl champ. I love the guy. Just having a conversation with him about anything Raider related is pretty cool. I mean, you got to pinch yourself. You got Gannon and Matt Millen in the booth with you.
Yeah, it was fun the other day and on the air. And at first I wasn't sure if it was an acceptable thing to talk about. But Rich started telling stories about how different, back in his day versus now. And he's like, back in my day, man, we drank a lot more beer, and I wasn't sure how long to let that go. And I turned to Matt, and he kind of gives me a smile. He's like, "Good thing I didn't never drink any." He's like, "But I certainly bought a lot more." And Matt's very much loved by all the generation of the Silver and Black, right? Yeah. Guys from before he passed away, the great Jim Otto, all the way to the era of the last 10 years. So he's a football guy. He's a fan guy. He's someone who's very personable. People know the story of him punching the Patriots GM and all those things. Yeah. But the reality is Matt is he's actually very easy to get along with and talk to.
He's great.
And he's been very welcoming since the moment I first met him.
Yeah, and that's important, and that's great. And everybody's welcome you. You're the voice of the Raiders. We'll see you this weekend. I'll see you before that, and have a good trip out here, and we'll talk to you soon.
Big dinner Friday, JT. I'll see you there.
You got it. Appreciate it. There he is. That's Jason Horowitz. We have our broadcast dinner Friday night, which is always kind of cool. Lincoln Kennedy, Eric Allen, Matt Mill, and the whole staff, everybody there. So looking forward to that. And then there's one of my busiest weeks of the year because of this practice tonight. We're going to be really busy tonight. We'll get to your phone calls coming up. I promise. We'll get to everybody. Vinny Bonsignore will join us next. That was brought to you by PTs as they fuel the monologue. Go check out their happy hour. You'll see why it's the best in all of Nevada, 5 to 7, midnight to 2 PTs.
It's the morning tailgate. Noticing and acknowledging.
All right. Let's see if we can get him up first and then call Vinny. We can get him up if he holds, and then we'll do that.
Hey, Thor, I'm going to get you up before Vinny, so give me about 4 more minutes. Okay, pal? That's probably a good idea. He's on himself.
Melissa has the plays, huh? I have everything for tonight on the practice field. JT for Grimaldi's New York style coal-fired quick oven pizza, 4 locations in the Valley, Summerlin and Boca Park, on the Strip at the Palazzo, Southwest Las Vegas on Rainbow, and in Green Valley on Eastern Avenue. Grimaldi's, the best pizza I've ever had.
The place where all your Raiders coverage is right here on Raider Nation Radio.
Yeah, tonight I'm going to interview Marvin Lewis, Tom McMahon, Antonio Pierce, Luke Getzey, Michael Mayer, a lot of people. Rob Ryan, Robert Spillane, Max Crosby, and Christian Wilkins. How lucky am I, man, huh?
Sir, do you know what duration of time this contract goes through? Just football season? They'll go past it?
Yeah, football season. So
2,500, but see, 2,500 into 20, that's 10 weeks. 2,500 per month. So that's 10 months.
So that would be September, October, November, December, January, all of February, March. Ideally, it would start in August.
Yeah. And should I put $25,000 on there in total?
Yeah, I mean, your investment, take it 30 those months. Do that. I mean, I know he's looking for a market deal.
Remember to use bonus code LV when you place your first major options like the money line, parlays, prop bets, live betting, and more. You get up to $250 back in bonus.
It's usually I had to keep it at $25,000.
Yep.
And then just do it for
and I'll
August through February.
Well, we're already in August.
I mean,
so I think it's better to start September. That's when the season starts. Through the Super Bowl, February, end of February into March.
Okay.
And however the math works out.
Okay.
Yeah. We're getting there. I got his email today, so we'll shoot it out after that. It's done. Thank you. All right. What do we got on here? What's everybody saying? Currently 99 in Vegas. Fabian's on the road on the 15. Good luck, Fabian. The 15 kicked my ass 2 weeks ago. 22 hours. Nice to have Jason Horowitz. I'm not debating facial recognition. Who controls that? I don't care. I don't care. As long as my tickets work, my credential works, I'm fine. Willie Wayne, the officers don't want that info. I get it. I'm not debating that. I'm pro-police all the time, but I'm pro-Raiders. They'll figure it out. Extreme Heat Dome is gone. Bobby on the radio. We all good?
This is JT from the Black Hole, home
home of football's most notorious fans. If you're a diehard Raider fan, this is your home. Become a member today and receive 20% off online purchases, hotel discounts. Enjoy the game. I'll talk to you afterwards on the ride home. Back on the air. Bye. All memberships are now lifetime memberships. Once a member, always a member.
on hold. We're gonna get.
Yep. Did he call or you call? Did you call him?
Yeah.
I was hoping you would after Thor. I mean, okay.
We're coming back in about a minute.
Well, I'm not going to have Thor's going to wait. I'm going to get to Vinny. Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's how we do it. I mean, Thor, you're going to have to wait a second. Sorry, brother. We got a guest. It's the only rule I have. The guests go before the calls.
Plus, right now, buy one, get one half off when you shop your local Famous Footwear or famous.com. Some exclusions apply.
Attention plumbers, HVAC, DIYers, and construction pros. McFadden Industrial Hardware has everything you need for your next project. Open early at South Decatur and Russell. McFadden Industrial Hardware, your one-stop shop to get the job done. McFadden Industrial Hardware. Get in, get out, and get to work.
Welcome back to the JT the Brick Show. Brought to you by PT's. The best happy hour in town, 5 to 7 p.m. and midnight to 2 a.m.
Yeah, but we got standards. And those standards never change. But it was really good job for down inside the 10-yard line. You guys know, first thing we did in the training camp was working red zone. And that was really good for us to see that on both sides of the ball in the first half. Finish drives in the end zone or through the uprights and defensively keep it out.
Antonio Pierce, also he was at practice tonight. We'll see him tonight at the open practice. Last night, as the sun was setting, we're brought to you by Tequila Commissario, the Ferrari of tequilas. Jump on in and see what the Maloops have brought to me, Tequila Commissario, as we continue on. Vinny Bonsignore joins us, as he always does every week. And Vinny, as we get going, what did you think of practice last night? I was only there for a bit of it. How much production was there? Was it a kind of make or break thing or anything unique coming out of the quarterback competition?
Yeah, well, first of all, it was extremely picturesque.
Yes.
With the sun setting over the mountains, and it kind of harkened you back to old high school days when the time change and it started getting darker a little bit earlier. So it was really cool seeing the Raiders out there. I know the players appreciated the change of pace that Antonio Pierce gave them, as they will tonight when they practice in front of a crowd that is expected to exceed 40,000. So, I'd have to say, and I think that this is probably the universal assessment. I felt like Gardner Minshew had the better practice than Aiden O'Connell, and that's not to point any fingers at Aiden O'Connell, but we're getting down to the nitty gritty here in terms of Antonio Pierce and the Raiders deciding on who their quarterback's going to be to start the season. Antonio pointed out last week on Sunday that it sounds like he wants to get this decision done by early next week. You got a game on September 8th. You got to start getting your guy ready. So this could be the final stages of this quarterback battle. And I think every rep, every practice, every game on Saturday against the Cowboys is going to count on where that decision ultimately goes.
Vinny Bonsignore joins us, and of course, every rep counts. I just wonder if one errant throw, or one really good catch after a decent throw is going to decide something that's taken over the last couple of months, last 4 or 5 months, whenever Gardner was signed. You really believe it's that close? Is it razor thin, in your opinion?
It feels like it is. I think for those of us who have been there every day, I think the consensus is that Gardner's probably a little bit ahead of Aiden O'Connell. Now, some would say that it's further ahead than a little bit ahead. I feel like it's a little bit ahead. That's just my personal opinion. So I still feel like I don't think a decision has necessarily been made. They may be leaning in one direction or another, and this kind of final stroke on Saturday could be the determining factor. But I think ultimately they're going to take the full body of work that entire training camp, every practice, every rep, what happened on Saturday against the Vikings, what will happen on Saturday against the Cowboys, and make the decision that they feel puts them in the best position to win football games, because ultimately that's what this is going to be about. It's not going to be about, okay, Aiden O'Connell has the higher ceiling, he's the younger player, he's the drafted player, or Gardner Minshew is making more money and has the experience and has a bigger body of work. None of those things are going to necessarily factor in. It's going to be who they decide, who they believe truly believe, probably after Saturday, who gives them the best chance to win football games.
Vinny Bonsignore is our guest right here on the new morning show with Vince Sapienza and Clay Baker. What does Davante's role play in this? Because a lot of fans, rightfully so, who have been in touch with me and you, were like, well, Davante had a lot of control last year. Well, that was after a regime was let go and a new regime came in. We saw a lot of that play out of the Netflix receivers. And Davante is a massive piece to this team. And I think he's got a really respected voice. And he's going to want to have a good year this year for a number of reasons. He wants to win. He's a productive player. He wants his production to be legit, but he wants to win the most. And, he's got more reps in with Aiden O'Connell.
Yeah, I don't know, to what level he's going to play into this decision. I'm sure he's going to be kept abreast of the decision, and his input is going to be valued and brought in. But here's my thing about that whole situation. I think, I just feel like this will extend into the regular season, and I don't mean that they're going to have an itchy finger to make any changes or rotate anybody during the regular season. I just feel like the final determination is going to happen on whoever this quarterback is. They're going to have to prove that they are the guy when it's real games get started. And I think that, depending on how it goes, if it's great, that Davante is going to remain, fully on board and let the wins come and go out and compete for as many of them as you can to go try to make a playoff run. But if it's not going well, that's where I would imagine maybe his input would truly come into place in terms of, hey, maybe just soliciting his opinion on a situation on whether a change needs to be made. And I'm not saying that he's going to make that call. By no means am I saying that. But I would imagine that he has a voice in that, and or at least at the very least, has an open door to be able to express what those thoughts are. So, I've always maintained, ideally, the Raiders want to pick somebody, and that's the guy that is their quarterback for the next 17 weeks and however long they play, if they are fortunate enough to get into the playoffs. That's ideally. We don't know if that's going to happen. And I do think that first month of the season, those first 4 games, there has to be a certain level that this quarterback is playing at to help what I feel is a pretty good football team, and in some cases a really good football team, compete at their highest level. And if that's not happening, then things may change.
Vinny, one more on a business standpoint here. You and I got to hang out the first time together when we were at that Radio Row when the Raiders were awarded Vegas, and then the money came out because of Sheldon Adelson, the $500 million. And you and I were both there, and one of the first 2, if not the first 2, to report that wasn't a big deal. They were going to get the money. Believe me, the money was going to come in on the Adelson money out, Bank of America. There was 3 to 4 banks that would have jumped in by nightfall that night, while a lot of people didn't know exactly what was happening behind the scenes. Did you ever think when we hung out that day on Radio Row that we'd be talking about the ninth team now in all of professional sports, or at least in the NFL, when it comes to net worth now, as this is over $6.7 billion since the move from Oakland to Vegas?
Yeah, I had to say yes. I did. I think that there was a vision for this, and it only made sense that coming to the sports capital of the world and the beautiful stadium that Mark Davis, and Mark Bedane and everybody else that was part of that whole project, you knew what the vision was. And you also knew, just talking to other owners, this was I can't say a can't lose proposition, but it was certainly something that every owner in the NFL was impressed by. And I'm just talking about the pitch, the money, the way it was going to be financed, what the vision was, what that stadium looked like, where it was going to be, what city it was going to be, and it blew everybody away. And I could say this: there's a general manager who told me that he was talking to a current NFL owner, not here in Las Vegas, somewhere in the NFL, who was out here, on a game week and with his team, and he had a chat with a mutual friend, and that owner expressed confidence that the lion that was getting ready to roar here in Las Vegas was imminent. It was going to happen, and he was talking about the value of the team. He was talking about profits and revenue, and how that revenue is going to be reinvested into the team, and that this was a team and a franchise and a market to really keep an eye on. This was about 2 years ago or so. And nothing has happened since that doesn't verify or validate what that owner was talking about. He saw it. And there are other owners that are looking at the situation and going, wow, the Raiders are really in a great position. It may not look like it right now with the wins and losses, and obviously eventually they're going to have to square away their quarterback position, as a lot of teams in the NFL do that aren't the Kansas City Chiefs or, the Cincinnati Bengals or teams that have their quarterback in place. That remains to still have to happen. But when you talk about a franchise that's positioned for a long run and a great sustained run and is just on great stable ground financially and for the future, there aren't that many organizations or teams that are as set as the Raiders right now for all of those reasons. So, the wins and losses, we'll see when all that gets turned around and the quarterback being in place, the championship caliber quarterback being in place. But when you talk about the health of a franchise, the Raiders are as healthy as anybody in sports.
Absolutely, and so are your proud partners. Let's hit them on the way out.
Yep, absolutely. Dos Catas Tequila, if you're here in town, just head over to Total Wines or Lee's Liquor. They've got all of the great brands of Dos Catas Tequila. And if you're not here in Las Vegas, don't worry. Just go to DosCatasSpirits.com and you can order your next batch of Dos Catas wherever you are, and it'll get delivered wherever you are.
Thanks, Vinny. We'll see you out there tonight.
All right, take care. Enjoy it.
All right, there he is, Vinny Bonsignore. We appreciate him coming on as we continue here on the flagship of the Silver and Black. So you notice all the guests that we have. I'm asking them about the quarterback. I focus my radio show on the hits. We're not the show of the practice squad. We're not. We're the show of who's going to be the starting quarterback. That's what we do. Play the hits. That's the big story. It's a big national story, even though ESPN and Fox doesn't talk about the Raiders. They just mock the Raiders. It's a big story, and the decision's going to be made. Thor in Summerlin's been following this from the Raider Nation Drinking Club. Go ahead.
JT, what's happening, my brother, man? It's game day week. Let's go, man. We right around the corner from seeing these guys play out in Allegiant. We're also right a few hours away from practice, where there will be more Raider fans there at a practice than all the San Diego Charger fans or LA Charger fans in the whole world combined. Will be like 5-1 to them.
I would agree.
Practice alone.
Just the practice alone is going to have that many people, which is pretty incredible as I look at this. So I would agree it's going to be special. You know what it's about, Thor? We always talk about over a beverage. It's about bringing kids, letting the kids come, let them have, run around the stadium, have fun, take pictures, see their favorite players. I know the players are going to be very interactive with the fans there. So all of that's going to be fantastic. I know you're going to be there.
Oh, man, it's going to be great. I can't wait. I just can't wait. You see your friends out there, people you haven't seen in a while, the kids, the joy on their faces. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not that important to me, but to see the joy of the kids, what's more important to me is seeing my friends and seeing the people having a great time. And I'm ready. I'm ready to see both these quarterbacks. Honestly, don't care who wins. I guess I want to lean a little more toward Aiden. But if Gardner wins, I love Gardner, and I'm not worried about it. Everyone talks about if a quarterback struggles, it's because he don't have the team around him. Well, we have the team around these dudes. I feel like they're going to do great. You just can't tell me with Devontae and Michael Mayer and Brock Bowers and Jacoby Meyer and Zeus and Lobby and Madison and all these cats. I feel like, man, we're ready to go no matter who's back there. They have the weapons to get it done, bro. They have the weapons. Let's go get it.
Yep.
Raider Nation unite too, man. Positive thinking, man. Build these dudes up, man. And if you can't do that, shut the hell up and leave us alone and just be miserable by yourself.
All right. We don't want anybody to be miserable, but I get what you're saying, Thor. We just got everybody to be positive. We should be positive. There is a lot to talk about. Appreciate it. Everybody who's in my YouTube chat. We got 75 people in there. In a couple of months, we're going to have hundreds of people in because we got a big announcement on how this YouTube channel will be incorporated as I'm live from the Raiders. How about that? Build it and they will come. JT the Brick, YT. We're brought to you by the DeCastroverde Law Group. Their father built it. Now the brothers have your back. The brothers win. If you get into an accident and you're injured, Alex and Orlando DeCastroverde, my guys, my two guys, La Familia, 702-222-9999. All right, we got one more guest coming up, Bill Williamson, and we're going to then jump out of here at the top of the hour. Anything else you want to get in there, write it in there now, please.
I can't even remember that far back. Our defense is for real.
You got a Thor promo, huh?
What do you know about that?
Yeah, how about that? All right, we got to get Bill up first and get these guys in.
This is JT and Raising Cane's.
It'll be a different Devontae Adams touch from the back.
Okay.
Goddamn, Mickey. Me, no, that's
Donations and more. Visit CanesandCommunity.com to see how Raising Canes can support your school this year. And remember, they just opened up a brand new location in North Las Vegas, Deer Springs, and North 5th Street. Raising Cane's Chicken Fingers.
Raising Cane's Chicken Fingers. One love, right, Bobby? We know that. Maybe I'll get one in here. Get them off our. Get them going.
Tell you who's bigger, who's better, or who's richer. It's funny because the American Bar Association found the most common complaints of lawyers is neglect and communication. It's about customer service. At Paddleboard, we pride ourselves on how we treat our clients, and our clients seem to really appreciate it. Check out our Google reviews or call 766-1400 for a free consultation. At Battleborn, your battle is our fight.
Patty Davidson here from BetMoneyHoney.com. Have you ever felt like the odd man out at a friend's house watching the game? After years in the sports betting industry, I can teach you the rules of different sporting events so you can now be part of that crowd of cheering fans with an understanding of the game. Plus, I can teach you how to place a bet on a game which will completely change your perspective because you too can be a winner. Join me at BetMoneyHoney.com. That's BetMoneyHoney.com.
If you need to sell your house,
Talk to Aaron Taylor. Yeah, I got to go over some notes for tonight and get ready for this sideline appearance, which should be pretty big. They're going to give away mystery bags and gifts and raffles. And
We're an advertising and marketing powerhouse specializing in selling residential and commercial properties. And we're just getting started. We offer 3 incredible solutions for our sellers to maximize their profits. First, we provide a cash advance with no interest. Need money now? We got you covered. Second, we handle all repairs and improvements up front to ensure you get the most money possible for your home. And third, you decide the commission you pay, as low as $1. Plus, we'll even buy your home for cash if that's what you
all right, you got Bill up?
Just take our word for it.
All right, let's get Bill.
I got 2.5 minutes. I don't want
Okay,
to.
okay.
Call 702-310-MOVE. That's 702-310-6683. eXp Realty, license number 388886. Call for details.
talk to Aaron Taylor.
The real estate guy.
Lynn loves the spring in Vegas, but she hates the paint, so she called Rhino Shield.
It is a single-wide manufactured home. We moved from our stucco home, which we had the Rhino Shield on. Rhino Shield was what we were going to do. That was no question.
Rhino Shield ceramic technology is formulated for our climate right here in Las Vegas.
The Rhino Shield representative came and
All right, everybody, what do you got here from Steve? I believe the quarterback competition is truly leaning towards 12 and not 15. All right, I don't know how you can know that. Were you in Costa Mesa every day, Steve? Are you in the meetings? But I appreciate your opinion.
Psychic.
You're psychic. Yeah, well, look. Melissa, nation likes this, blah, blah, blah. Come on, people. Likes. Yeah, we got to hit the likes. Everybody get in there and hit the likes. That's how this algorithm works, I guess, huh?
That's 888-RHINO-41. Don't
All right, we got about another 10 minutes on this live stream.
Hey, Bill, it's Bobby with JT Burke. How you doing? Good, good. I'll get you up with JT. Give me 1 minute, okay?
Did you win the lottery? Nah, I just got a sweet loan from one Nevada credit union. Smart move, Tom. Thanks. 3 terms, low rates, and an easy
Devontae Adams coming back. Talk about the practice of the Legion.
Get a sweet loan for a sweet ride at onenevada.org. Federally insured by NCUA.
Welcome back to the JT the Brick Show. Brought to you by Raising Cane's Chicken Fingers. One love.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great deal. I mean, you get a different type of feeling when you walk in on that field in the Legion. So I know guys will be in the locker room feeling like it's a game before, even though it's not. But it's hard not to have that feeling when you walk in that building to see all those fans and see how fired up everybody is for the season. So that'll be fun.
Devontae, congratulations to he and his wife on the birth of their son. Devontae is back with the team as we bring in Bill Williamson, the longest tenured insider of the Raiders on this show here. Bill, where do you stand on the quarterback? Is there something a little bit more you need to see, or have you decided on Aiden O'Connell or Gardner Minshew? Who has the lead?
Well, I think it's been a fascinating battle. It's been a true battle, and don't see that very often. And it's still very much up in the air. And anything I'll say is just kind of gut feeling. It's obviously that we're it's winding down.
Mm-hmm.
Antonio Pierce said on Sunday that the goal is to have it over with after this game. So theoretically, we can know as soon as Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
I would think latest by early in the week. Because they're not going to make all their starters play in the third game.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And it's kind of useless to have two quarterbacks battling for a job, playing with guys who maybe, cut the next day, playing the third game. So it's pretty clear that the decision is really coming down to its final days. If I had to guess, I think it's going to be O'Connell, but that's certainly not a report. That's just a kind of a guess because it seems that's what they've it's always been, the reports after the OTA. He's kind of leading. Devontae Adams said on a podcast, I think O'Connell's going to win. It just seems that Minshew had to really take it from him, and he hasn't taken it from him yet. So that's just kind of where it's looking.
Yeah. Yeah, Bill Williamson joins us. You're right about one thing. If you look at boxing, I go to a lot of fights, and you got to beat the champ. If it comes down to a decision, you got to knock the champ down or knock him down. The only thing that I've been keeping an eye on, Bill, is just the matchups here. There's been no Colt Miller and Jackson Powers Johnson, period. And we're expecting them both to be back, especially Colton, who they're bringing along at that pace there. So the lack of work that the offensive line has had together leads me to believe that Gardner Minshew could be good if the pocket's breaking down because he's more mobile and can make some plays with his legs. But if the pocket's secure and Aiden's got some time, I think he and Devontae have better chemistry, and they've proven that.
Yeah, I think, look at O'Connell, what worried me about him was, after the training camp didn't seem like he improved at all.
Mm-hmm.
Then he came in preseason and he looked pretty efficient, right? And he did what he does. But this guy's been he's been a preseason star. He was basically the NFL MVP of the preseason last year. So maybe that's his thing. I don't know. But I think the Raiders are going to want to see improvement. He has to improve. And it was a little worrisome that he went to Coach Mesa without showing a lot of improvement. So we'll see. I just think, Minshew has to change their mind, and I don't know if he's done enough. And it's going to be really interesting to see after this game because we're all going to be making all these proclamations Saturday night based on a quarter of play, and we're going to, say one guy throws an interception or the other guy does. Is that the decider? I don't think so.
Yeah, I would hope not. We just talked to Vinny about it too, Bonsignore. I don't think it's going to come down to one pass being intercepted or not. I think it's a whole body of work on that film study, how quick they are on the whiteboard, how much they know the game plan, and then all the practices that the media and the players don't see and how they talk amongst the team in a walkthrough. Bill Williamson, 28 years covering the NFL, our longest tenured insider here for the Raiders. The defense looks good to me. I mean, the 2s and 3s didn't look good in Minneapolis, but the starters I think are good. Who do you think starts opposite of Jack Jones? Because it looks like it's going to be Jacorian Bennett there. I think he improved this offseason from what I can tell.
Yeah, Bennett's the guy that started the first 3 or 4 games last year as a real surprise, and then got some injuries and then kind of stepped back. So if he can get there and keep it this time, that's going to be a big push for this team. I think a real boost. I mean, look, it's getting fairly late as far as adding a starting quality player, and they've had a lot of time to do it. They haven't done anything. They really haven't even sniffed around that position much lately.
You're right.
At least, publicly. So it seems like they're okay there. I think, the secondary will be a position that they look to bolster, the back of the roster once we get past the 27th. But, yeah, it looks like Bennett is going to get first crack to be started. They got to be healthy back there, though.
Bill, do you recall a bigger crowd ever in Raider history for a practice? I mean, we'll get the numbers tomorrow, but I'm hearing 35, 40,000. Am I missing something? Was there one like that at the Coliseum in Oakland or in LA? Because the Raiders have had some open practices at training camp, but never a crowd side like this, as I can recall.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think it's just part of the Vegas deal, I mean, they're very smart by announcing it, several weeks in advance. It's a destination, and it's a chance for people to get to that stadium. I thought there's going to be a nice percentage of people there tonight that it's going to be their first time there because they just haven't had a chance to get there in the first 3 years. And let's face it, it's very expensive to go to a game there. Tonight's a nice opportunity. And, get to Vegas in the summer heat. Why not? I think it would be a fun atmosphere.
Thank you, Bill. We'll got you in the slot every couple of weeks in this time slot. Always appreciate your insight.
All right.
There you go. You got it. Bill Williamson. Appreciate him. That was a busy hour. Jason Horowitz, Vinny Bonsignore, Bill Williamson. All three really important to the show as we get rolling here on the other side. Hey, Raising Cane's Chicken Fingers is really important to this show because their drive-through, I'm going through it all the time. I'm a Caniac. My kids are, and we love the fact that you're now back to school. Going back to school, get Cane's in your rotation. On pickups, coming home, you want to feed your kids the best chicken fingers, the buttery Texas toast, the fries, everything they have. Lemonade for mom and dad and iced tea. It's all waiting for you. Raising Cane's Chicken Fingers, one love. Thank you, everybody. A nice number today. Good stuff. Good stuff. I will be at the live practice tonight. I'll be on the field, and I'll have the microphone, so got to get my head wrapped around this. So I'm going to bail out of here, start looking at my script, and I hope to see you there tonight, man. Thanks for joining us. Please hit like before you leave, subscribe, and thank you very much. We'll do more and more of this. Big announcement coming with this YouTube page in a couple of days. Thank you.
We're here for you.
All right.
Gambler's Bonus hits again. On May 24th, John hit 4